Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Starkey. I am the chairman-elect for the Alvin-Manvel Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as board member for the Alvin Community College and the co-owner of 1820 Coffee House in Alvin, Texas. I'm happy to be your moderator tonight for this forum for the City of Manvel Mayor election. Tonight, let me go over some forum rules. Got to skip to the page. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement regarding their objectives and platforms. Each candidate will be given up to 1 minute to answer each of the questions we have tonight. No question will be asked that is directed to one particular candidate. All candidates' answers and statements will be timed. The timer will start when the candidate begins to speak. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for a closing statement. All rules regarding the time, lights, and timers will apply for the closing statements. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you to the audience for joining us tonight. Tonight we are joined by Dan Davis, Lorraine Hain, and Eugene Howard. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will get started with 2-minute opening statements. We will start with Dan Davis.
Well, good evening, y'all.
Oh.
There it is. Well, good evening, y'all. My name is Dan Davis. I'm running to be the next mayor of Manvel. Thank you to the Chamber, Heights Baptist, and all of the volunteers that were involved in putting on this forum today. I want to tell y'all a little bit about myself. I've been married to my wife, Erica, now for almost 12 years. We have 2 incredible kiddos. Caleb turns 9 this year, and our daughter, Kira, just turned 7. My wife and I got married whenever I was 18 and she was 20. We went to Bible college together, and it set a really good foundation, not just for our life, but especially for our marriage. We were then missionaries in Japan, and when we moved back to America, we wanted to settle down. We wanted to plant our roots somewhere. My wife was born and raised in the Houston area, but I moved around a lot, so it needed to be somewhere safe, secure, and special. It needed to be somewhere stable for our family, and we chose Manvel. One of the best decisions that we've ever made. We bought our first home in Manvel. We're raising our family here, and we've lived here for 6 years now. We wanted to get involved, connected in the community, so we just started volunteering with some local nonprofits, and ultimately, that led to me running and serving on city council from 2019 until 2022. And look, y'all, here's what I hear from the people when I talk to them. They are frustrated. They are tired. They feel like their voice isn't heard, that they are getting left behind and neglected because the city is only focused on this bright, shiny future and not here on the present. That needs to change. As I talk with people, there's 4 reoccurring themes that I hear from them. 1, experience does matter. But it's the right experience that they want. They want somebody that's focused on maintaining our values and what makes us special. We don't need to be like Pearland or League City or Sugar Land. We just got to be Manvel. They want somebody that's going to bring accountability and transparency to City Hall, not just during campaign time, but all the time. And they want somebody that is going to work and put together a comprehensive vision for the future, where everybody's voice is heard and everybody has a seat at the table. And that's what I'm committed to do, and I look forward to talking with you more tonight. Thank you.
Lorraine? Use the mic.
On the area of why we are running. It's on. You got it?
Just turned it on.
Thank you. Apologize. So my name is Lorraine Hain, and I am currently the mayor pro tem, and I'm intending to be the next mayor of Manvel. And I do want to point out that this is the 3rd forum that I've attended in which we were all invited, yet I am the only one that has appeared at every forum, regardless of the audience. And now, I do want to point out that both of my opponents, and this is something that they continue to do, they manufacture this strange outrage to pander for votes and create narratives that really don't exist. For example, outrage about values and vision. Look, I mean, I've pushed hard for the last 10 years to keep Manvel rural proper. Manvel proper rule to push the major developments out to 288 corridor. Our vision has always been to find balance between rural and subdivision, not to divide them, overtake them, or push them out in any way, but to blend them together. Anger over transparency. And really, everybody knows that city council is documented, well documented. We even have a YouTube channel. City information is always available, whether it be our website, budgets, proposals, master plans. There's no lack of transparency. Questioning our lack of diversity is a big thing, and I want you to look at our council. We look like Manvel. Whether we're the ethnicity, the age, gender, we are from all of Manvel. We are all well represented. Rage, Lots of rage about roads and drainage. These are constantly being addressed, and anyone that's telling anybody different is really uninformed. We paved miles and miles of roads. During my time on council, we still have more miles to pave. More roads to pave. There's a massive drainage project in process right now that will immediately impact citizens in Manvel proper, that they are going to experience that growth immediately. Now, I say all of this because both of my opponents, they want to cherry pick and they want to try and convince you that things are just going so poorly in Manvel, that they are the only ones that can fix it. And that's really political rhetoric. There's nothing more than that. Many will look around and many people see that there are great things happening, and I am very proud to be a part of it.
Eugene?
Thank you so very much. My name is Wow. I appreciate the authoritative voice, man. Thank you so much. My name is Eugene Howard. I'm not going to take jabs at other candidates. I really just want to talk about what I want to do for the community. And I'm a seventh-generation Texan, son of a Union soldier, so someone who saw a present situation and decided to make a difference. Now, my great-great-great-great-grandfather fought for liberty or death, which is now giving me the opportunity to fight and provide for my beautiful family, where my wife is sitting in the audience right now. I have my eldest daughter is in college right now. My middle school son goes to Rodeo Palms, and my little princess is part of Don Jeter Elementary, which means I'm totally vested in our community. And unfortunately, a lot of candidates and people stay in their echo chambers. And they're going to come in here and tell you, this isn't the issue, this is the issue. I'm not going to come tell you what the issue is. I want to hear from you how we need to make account of what's going wrong with our city. Now, we can sit here and say it's all peaches and cream, but I've been in here for 3 hours. And it seems like every candidate that came up here said there's a problem with transparency, there's a problem with accountability. And as I sit here, I sit next to an 8-year incumbent, which is someone who is personally responsible for the situation we're in. And then I sit next to another person who's also made votes and made decisions for our certain circumstances and current circumstances that we are in. So I am running to be a choice, a different choice. I may not be your flavor of tea, but one thing I am authentic, I am human, and I am a fighter. And what do I mean by that? My opponent wanted to say I'm an activist. You're right. I'm going to be an activist for the city of Manvel and the constituents. Far too long, too many people feel like their voice is not being heard, and that will not be the case anymore in the city of Manvel. Thank you.
Eugene, we're going to start with you for our first question for 1 minute. What do you find as the greatest current strength and the greatest future need for the city of Manvel?
The greatest current strength is the potential for growth and the influx of new ideals and new energy that is coming along with the great wisdom of those who've been here in Manvel for all these great, fabulous years. I believe that we can melt that and become a great community, not a divided community, but a community that can have different sides of the town, different sides of the city, but it's still one big city. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We don't have to make fun or put down the acreage communities for the subdivisions, nor vice versa. I believe that we can really build together what makes us greatest together, and that's what we should focus on, and I believe that's what the city is focusing on. And for the second part of the question, what was the second part again?
What is the greatest future need?
The greatest future need is the collaboration and effort that I'm just speaking about. I believe that if we band together with the business, the civil, I think it can be achieved. Thank you.
Lorraine, what do you find as the greatest current strength and the greatest future need for the city of Manvel?
The greatest current, I apologize. Our greatest current strength is our cohesive and collaborative council. We don't always agree, but we always are willing to work together to come to a decision that will benefit the citizens in the best way. Our decorum is solid, and no one dominates the conversation. Everyone feels heard, and no one tries to force their personal agendas through. Each council member, even the mayor, is just even one vote, 1 out of 7. To make sure an action is taken, the majority has to make the effort to do so. Maintaining diversity on council is one of the greatest future need. There are so many unique things about Manvel, and we need the representation from all sections of the cities. We cannot allow one neighborhood, one demographic to dominate the council. We must continue to find ways to meld the old and the new together, and that only happens when you have a united council, not a divided one.
Dan, what do you find as the greatest current strength and the greatest future need for the city of Manvel?
The greatest current strength that we have is each of y'all. It's our people. It's our hardworking city employees. It's our local business owners. It's the retired school teacher on the corner. It's our local organizations. A city is nothing without the people that live in it. And each of you sitting here tonight, taking time out of your evening to be here, shows that you believe in the future of our community. But our greatest future need is the same thing. It's the people. We need each and every one of you. We need you to come and show up. We need you to speak. We need you to be bold in your convictions and not afraid of what government's going to say, because government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are here to serve you. And quite frankly, as I talk with y'all, as I listen to your challenges and the difficulties, as we discuss the opportunities and the good things that are happening in the city, you guys are ready for change. And I hear you, and I'm here for you. So our greatest current strength is the people, and our greatest future need is also going to be the people. Thank you.
Lorraine, we're going to start with you for this one. What do you feel are the top 3 issues facing the city?
Number one, I believe it's education and dissemination of information. We have to do better as a city to our citizens to share how government operations work and getting the most accurate information out to them. Some of the frustrations we do hear a lot is frustration over wrong information or misleading narratives that have led to a lot of anger and distrust in the community. Better understanding leads to more involvement and better relations with the people. 2 is facilities. We just approved funding for a new police station, community works building, and city hall expansion, but that's still not going to be enough. It's important that we continue to keep the schedule of expanding our wastewater treatment facility. Keep in mind, because with no connections, there are no additional utilities. Without utilities means no business. No business means no new services. And finally, our growing park system. We are in dire need of community space so that we can come together as a community and integrate all of our unique lifestyles. But it starts with funding, with grants and other revenues, so that we can make sure that our tax burden is not hard on everybody. Thank you.
Dan, what do you feel are the top 3 issues facing the city?
I don't want to look at these as issues, but as opportunities. And what I hear from the community is 3, it's a lot of areas, but there's 3 primarily. 1 is regarding our city employees. We need to ensure that we have the right people in the right position, and it all starts with the city manager. The turnover rate that we see in City Hall and the toxic work environment is a direct reflection of the leadership from the city manager. Once we have the right people in the right position, we need to equip them with the resources and the resources and the tools that they need to be successful. The second area of opportunity is regarding infrastructure. We have a desperate need to seriously invest in infrastructure, and I believe we can do that while lowering taxes. If we're going to do infrastructure, if debt has to be issued, it needs to go to the voters for approval. That didn't happen last night in City Hall. The third is regarding community. Our city has grown exponentially, but yet that sense of community has fallen by the wayside. Our parks need to be improved, and we need to bring back that Hoka Hey mentality and show people what it means to live in the great city of Manvel. Thank you.
Eugene, what do you feel are the, sorry,
I feel good.
what do you feel are the top 3 issues facing the city?
Thank you so much. In no particular order, infrastructure. As you can see, we still have dirt roads when we're a city on the rise. To me, we're not back in the 20th century, 1900s. There's no reason why people that have saved up and purchased a home like my opponent, which is such a beautiful thing, should have to drive up to their home on a dirt road when the mantra of our city is a city on the rise. That is a redundant statement if we're not rising, if we can't even have paved roads in 2023. So I believe those are some of the issues that's one of the issues. The next one would be transparency. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have all the answers to fix it. I want to hear what you want to say. I want feedback from you. And third is community policing. Thank you.
All right. Dan, how do you feel about the recent growth in Manvel and the management of its growth, and would you offer anything different or change its direction?
I appreciate this question. As I talk with people in the community, all of y'all understand that growth and change is inevitable. And development doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. We have some good development that is happening in the city. But right now, the cart's getting put before the horse, and people feel as though we're growing and developing just because our city slogan is City on the Rise. So I think we can address things and we can do things differently. And one of the ways I would like to see us do that is not take a one-size-fits-all approach to everything. Your massive developers, your big businesses, yes, they need to have stringent standards. But our local business owners like Manvel Seafood and Honore's Cajun Cafe, the family that just wants to build on 5 acres for them to live in, they don't need to have the same exact standards. And unfortunately, we have people that have not been able to build their home, have not been able to operate their business because of those stringent standards. We need to allow people to have in-law suites on their property. We need to make some serious improvements here, and we need to find more ways to say yes. Thank you.
Lorraine, how do you feel about the recent growth in Manvel and the management of its growth? Would you offer anything different or change its direction?
The reality is that the growth in Manvel is already here, whether we like it or not. The land has already been sold and permits have already been requested. So this growth has to be carefully managed, and we have to put standards in place so that what is built now is something that is great for the whole city when it's left behind. We cannot stand still or change direction and then have to play catch up later. It would be ineffective and costly, and it could leave the city and its economy and its citizens in shambles. Of course, we would like to have seen all of this happen a lot faster. Outside of a flood, a pandemic, global supply shortage, and statewide freeze, those are all the things that are out of control, as we have already managed the growth as it is coming right now. But the council, with its united front and vision, has put the city on a great direction. Thanks so much.
Eugene, how do you feel about the recent growth in Manvel and the management of its growth? Would you offer anything different or change its direction?
I believe the growth now potentially it's moving forward. I would make a change in direction in the transparency of communicating, whether it be the process, the planning, the designs, and making sure the community, as my opponent has said, is really vested and educated on what's really going on. That would be the direction. Again, I hear that. I know we had a flood, we've had a pandemic, but every other city in our region has had the same thing, and they're still growing. So instead of making excuses, I want to make it right for our citizens, because you shouldn't have to leave the city limits to go grocery shopping. You shouldn't have to leave the city limits to to get retail. We should have everything that we need in our city and not lose that tax revenue to our neighboring cities as much as we love them. Thank you.
Oh, don't put the mic down, Eugene. The chamber is focused on supporting our member businesses, many of which are small businesses. How do you see the city of Manvel supporting and encouraging small business development in the next few years?
Well, I unfortunately, I'm going to sound like a record that I've heard time and time again tonight. I have not seen the support of local small business owners. I've known two particular that are the red tape is so egregious that they're just going over and over and recycling and over again, where a person loses that will, that passion to want to do business with the city. I know when we had the capital impact tax, how they raised it to $20,000 when it originally was $3,000 and $4,000 until the developer said they would leave. Those issues that we have to be more conducive. Again, my opponent Dan Davis said, I will agree, we can't have a one-size-fits-all. We must be creative, we must be visionaries of how we approach these problems and these issues and find a solution. Thank you.
Lorraine, the chamber is focused on supporting our member businesses, many of which are small businesses. How do you see the city supporting and encouraging small business development in the next few years?
Thank you. Well, to be honest, if there's no development, then there is no new business. So during my time on council, we have aggressively improved infrastructure to make it more inviting for small businesses. Yet there is going to still be a lot to do. We've deliberately pushed all the larger developments west towards 288 corridor, and we've even established an area called the Old Manvel Town Site, an area right in the middle of town that keeps area and businesses rural and fewer restrictions in this area to keep and attract small business. And as I mentioned before, it's really important to follow through with our facilities expansion, because as this creates more connections to offer small businesses who make Manvel their home. In addition, funding the Economic Development Corporation Also very important because this is where the small business goes to get financial support for expenses like permitting, impact fees, and connections to the utility systems.
Dan, the Chamber is focused on supporting our member businesses, many of which are small businesses. How do you see the city supporting and encouraging small business development in the next few years?
Throughout this campaign, I've received the endorsement of 21 local business owners in Manvel. And I served with Jake and others on the Alvin Manvel Chamber of Commerce board. And during that time, I've listened to the business owners, and what they feel is that the city is out to get them. The city doesn't have their back. The city, even during meetings, has said we are taking a proactive approach to code enforcement. That's not the way that it should be. It should be a collaborative approach. As our local businesses thrive, our community thrives. So I would like to see there be two things that are done. One, I'd like to see there be a business advisory committee formed that is of local business owners that will review our city codes, that we will bounce ideas off of, that will have a say in the outcome in City Hall. I would also like to see the city better partner with the chamber, and especially with the EDC. The city pulled a fast one over on the EDC, is now stripped most of its funds from the EDC. But yet we want the EDC to go and support local businesses. We need to take a different look at how we do things and how we support local. Thank you.
Lorraine, what are two practical policy initiatives that you plan to place on an agenda and get a vote on during your first year as mayor?
Thank you. The first thing I'd like to see happen is a budget schedule, because it's come out that we currently do not have a policy in place for our budget schedule, and it seems to be very fluid and inconsistent. I'd like to see annual deadlines and discussion dates for department heads, the city manager, and the finance director. Then add multiple public workshops leading up to the appraisal district's first round evaluations. Specific dates and details would be discussed and determined by council, but this process, I believe, will encourage better participation. And two, we really do need to take the grant policy back from the city manager. We need to put it back in the hands of council and mostly hire a grant writer. And I do want to point out that it was my opponent's policy that gave control to the city manager. And although I did warn against it in public, it did pass anyways. We need grant dollars moving into our city to get more projects funded, like streets, drainage, upgrades, parks and trails development. And the great goal would be to update the library using little tax money. Thank you.
Dan, what are two practical policy initiatives that you plan to place on an agenda and get a vote on during your first year as mayor?
Great question, and I'm glad my colleague finally agrees with me regarding a budget schedule. I pushed for that on city council, wasn't able to get it done. So what I would say is there would be two things that I would like to see from a policy standpoint. One would be a comprehensive asset maintenance schedule. If you drive on our streets, you look at our ditches, man, we've got some assets that are in rough shape. We need to make some improvement there. When I was on council, we started putting together a street maintenance program. It was presented to council in October of 2022. We need to take action on that and take a more comprehensive approach to how we are maintaining what we have. The second is regarding the tax rate. If the city wants to raise taxes on the average resident, I believe it needs to go to the voters for approval. This last year, you just saw your tax bill increase on average by $200 because the city kept the tax rate the same. In 2017, you saw your tax rate increase by 12 cents, from 57 cents to 69 cents. You didn't have a say. It is time for your voice to be heard, and it needs to come through a vote. So those would be my two policy initiatives to push for. Thank you.
All right. Eugene, what are two practical policy initiatives that you plan to place on an agenda and get a vote on during your first year as mayor?
Thank you so much. In no particular order, the George Floyd Restorative Criminal Justice Plan is one, and I would also put a manual or a third-party independent audit of each department in our city to get a hold of what's going on and make sure that it's scheduled and put in public every 12 to 24 months. Again, the first debate, since we keep hearing about someone only being at all the debates, I believe in transparency. I don't believe in backroom deals or deals done in the darkness of night. One thing I appreciate about the chamber, this is a public forum, open to the public with a microphone, not something in the back room with no communication. So again, transparency is what I'm mostly about. I am a transparent person, and this is what we must reflect, not only in our deeds and our words, but our policies as well. Thank you.
All right, Dan. Regarding transportation, what is your vision for local mobility? Obviously, there are partnerships necessary with state and federal entities when it comes to road projects, but what are your ideas to address adequate roadways and mobility as the city of Manvel continues to grow?
As I mentioned in the last question, we have the road maintenance program that needs to be implemented. There's going to be funding that needs to be found for that, but we got to start having that conversation. Look, if you drive down Iowa Lane or Del Bello Lane, you drive down Wilson or you drive down Scott Street or Tankersley, Dogwood, Lewis, our streets are in rough shape. It impacts our emergency response times. It impacts your vehicles and the wear and tear. We need to do a better job of maintaining our streets, maintaining what is right in front of us, not being so distracted by the future. One of the things I would also like to see is an off-road multi-use trail system throughout Manvel. I don't think that it should go through somebody's backyard, but we have these natural bayous and canals and ditches that we can leverage to protect our rural nature, to enhance what already is a beautiful community and a beautiful city. But it's a way to further connect the community. So we have major thoroughfares that run through our city, which those are being taken care of, but we got to do a better job of these connector streets. Thank you.
Lorraine, regarding transportation, what is your vision for local mobility? Obviously, there are partnerships necessary with state and federal entities when it comes to road projects, but what are your ideas to address adequate roadways and mobility as the city continues to grow?
Thank you. So in 2012, before I was elected, I actually sat on the Thoroughfare Plan Committee and got a lot of foresight on the mobility of the city of Manvel. We've planned the city to make sure that we don't have only one main artery in and out, and with the sizes and types of streets that will support the expected traffic. And we also require every new development with multiple points of entry to anticipate all this traffic. We're constantly updating this plan to try and find new ways to make it more accessible, and we do grant variances when it makes sense. But as far as funding these roads, we will continue to work with interlocal agreements and development agreements to have as many of these roads built with as little city tax funds as possible. Our citizens are already paying county taxes, and many pay MUD taxes. It would be fiscally irresponsible and wasteful to use city funds when we don't have to. That's why I've developed a good working relationships with our county commissioners and believe in development agreements that are favorable to the city and the developer. Thank you.
Eugene, regarding transportation, what is your vision for local mobility? Obviously, there are partnerships necessary with state and federal entities when it comes to road projects, but what are your ideas to address adequate roadways and mobility as the city continues to grow?
I think develop a better relationship with those partnerships, especially on the county level and the state level. There are so many subsidy programs out there that can help bring an influx of resources to this city and to our region. So I think it's best conducive for us to make those partnerships and to work hand in hand with the county, with the state, and even the federal government, if need be, to make sure that every citizen has the amenities, that our law enforcement, our first responders can make it up and down the roads in an adequate fashion, and that we can actually have the parks and the streets and the things that we feel we want in this community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to closing statements. And Eugene, we will start with you. 2-minute closing statements.
Thank you so much. Well, first I want to say, as the second debate I've been at is in the church, I want to say thank you, God, for giving me life and giving me breath. I want to thank the pastor of this establishment. I want to thank the Chamber Heights Church. Thank you all for coming out, listening to us. I'm a very simple man. As they say, victory has 1,000 fathers, defeat is an orphan. I am not perfect, but what I am is a fighter. That's what I know, that's what I understand. And what I mean by that is it's far too long as I've block-walked this community, people feel like their voice is not being heard, that they don't have an advocate sitting in that seat representing them. They're represented in the small interest groups of the power structure within Brazoria County or the city of Manvel. I want it to be very clear. I believe in inclusivity, not diversity. I don't want tokenism. I don't want to say just because we have a black, a Hispanic at this. I want our policies to reflect the integration that we're so touting today. So again, my name is Eugene Howard. I'm running to be your neighbor. I'm not running to be your neighbor. I'm running to be your mayor, on opportunity, growth, transparency, and infrastructure. Thank you so much.
Lorraine?
I just want to make it clear that I'm not a politician. I'm a woman of integrity and honesty, and citizens in Manvel proper and citizens in subdivisions, they have different needs. I don't create division between them, and I will not do it just to get votes. Promising Manvel that they can have everything and more, but at the same time lowering taxes is wrong. The math doesn't add up, and I know this because I've done city budgets for 8 years. I don't imply that there are no consequences to eliminating safe ordinances. It's dishonest. It's political rhetoric. It's why people distrust local politics today. I'm also not an activist of any kind. I do not run on political offices to bring any attention to my own causes, and I don't care how valid they are. It's just not something I believe in for local government. I am another citizen just like you. I'm a wife, a mother, a 17-year Manvel resident, a native Texan who values honesty over votes and community over self-promotion. I don't pretend to know everything about everything, and I surround myself with good leaders, wise people. I listen to my constituents, and I seek counsel from experts in their fields. I do work tirelessly with our council members and with the county leaders so that we can make sure that we actually achieve positive results, real action, and real results. And finally, I do want to tell you that I want to represent you regardless of your political affiliation, race, wealth, regardless of whether you are rural or subdivision. I place value in every one of you. You are not a stepping stone in any way, shape, or form for me of any kind of career. I do this because you asked me to do it, because you elected me over and over, and because I care about you and the city. My name is Lorraine Hain, and I am your city council member and your mayor pro tem. Thank you.
Dan?
Like I said at the beginning, thank you to everybody that was involved in putting on this event, and thank you to each and every one of you who are here tonight, those of you who are watching online, and to my fellow colleagues. I don't view y'all as opponents. I view you as individuals that care about the community and want to present your vision. My dad is here with me tonight, and Dad, you're my hero. You are. When I was growing up, something my dad would tell me is, and this is a lesson that I learned, is if you want me to trust you with more, you got to show me that I can trust you with what's right in front of you. And that same thing holds true for Manvel. If we want to achieve all that we want to achieve in the future, we got to show that we can take care of what's right in front of us. And while we're doing some good things in the city, there are a lot of opportunities that are being missed. We don't just need to keep with the status quo because that's what the status quo has been. We need to do things differently. We need a change on May 6th. And Manvel, if there's anything that you should know about me, is I'm not running for this position for a title or influence or because I'm term limited. I'm running for this position because I care about you. I care about your families. I care about your jobs. I care about your employees. I care about your livelihoods. I care about our future. I want you to know that I will fight for you each and every day. Your voice will be heard in City Hall, but I'm going to need you. We, as a city, desperately need you. And I believe that when we come together, when we look past our differences, when we come from all four corners of Manvel, we can accomplish some truly incredible things. And I believe that for Manvel, the best is yet to come. And I'm excited about the opportunity to be involved with you as your next mayor. To learn more about me, you can go to my website. It's dandavisjr.com. Yep, I have the same name as my dad. And you can also give me a call anytime, 936-230-0869. Thank you, and God bless.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. I'm going to have Carrie Perrin with the Alvin Manvel Area Chamber of Commerce come up and close this out.
Please give our candidates a round of applause. Thank all of you for being here tonight. I know it's a late night, and I really do appreciate your time and appreciate your effort and enduring these very warm lights. Also give our moderator, Jake, a round. Our earlier moderator, Carolyn, thank you so much as well. And then definitely thank the people in the tech booth who are filming, recording, getting sound. We definitely want to thank Heights Baptist Church for just making this building and space available to us to do such an important forum like this. I want to thank you, attendees, for your willingness to sit and learn and hear from the candidates themselves. Please do take up their offers. They've said, please reach out to them. Go and do that and find out more that you can before you go to the polls. Early voting begins April 24th, so we would love to see you out early. And then it goes all the way to May 2nd. Election Day is May 6th, but do yourself a favor, go way before that. And then finally, we're going to have some voter guides soon on alvinmanvelchamber.org. We will put those together very soon, and we will make sure to blast that all over Facebook as well. We're going to have 1820 Marketing. One of our chamber members put these videos together, add nice little name graphics so you know who's who. And as soon as those get out, we'll post them on our Facebook page and YouTube page as well. I would be remiss if I didn't let you know, May the 4th, we will be hosting a business expo and Taste of the Town at the Knights of Columbus Hall on Highway 6. We would love for the community to come see our business members, and you can support local businesses by just coming and finding out who they are. So after you early vote, before then, go to the expo, and then if you procrastinated, okay, then you can vote after the expo, okay? With that, thank you all so much, and please do eat, shop, play, and support local. Thank you. Good night.